Designing secure systems isn't just about choosing algorithms. It's about being able to show regulators exactly how every key, HSM, and service maps to a specific eIDAS or FIPS security requirement. In this topic, we'll turn legal and policy language into clear, testable technical controls you can design, configure, and prove with evidence. Treat compliance as a gearbox that meshes with your architecture from day one, not paperwork bolted on at the end. At the top, regulations like eIDAS and FIPS 100 feet define what good must look like. Those rules should directly shape your architecture, where HSMs sit, how keys are separated, how PKI is structured, and how services are segmented. Technical configuration then turns those designs into concrete controls. Finally, audit evidence, logs, procedures, configuration snapshots, proves that what you designed is what actually runs in production. Throughout this course, we'll keep translating regulation into design choices, configurations, and evidence you can implement. You can think of eIDAS and FIPS 140 as two lenses on the same system. eIDAS is the rulebook. It focuses on legal trust, who is signing, and whether a signature is equivalent to pen and paper. Its outcome is legal validity, built on mechanisms like PKI and qualified signature devices. FIPS 140 is the vault. It asks whether the cryptography and the hardware are actually secure. It concentrates on modules, algorithms, tamper resistance, and self-tests. In practice, an eIDAS service is legally convincing because it's built on FIPS-validated cryptographic foundations. To follow the rest of this course, keep three building blocks in mind. First, key management. How keys are generated, rotated, backed up, and securely destroyed. Second, hardware security modules, or HSMs. Specialized hardware that protects those keys and performs cryptographic operations. Third, public key infrastructure, or PKI. The certificates, authorities, and processes that turn individual keys into a usable trust system. A qualified electronic signature under eIDAS is a stack of security layers. At the core is a non-exportable private key generated and locked inside a FIPS 140 Level 3 HSM. That hardware, together with its controls and procedures, forms the Qualified Signature Creation Device, or QSCD. On top of that, a PKI identity certificate binds the key to a specific verified person. The result is a key that cannot be copied, is strongly tied to identity proofing, and creates signatures that stand up as legal evidence in court. FIPS 420T is about predictable assurance. When a module claims compliance, you know exactly what you're getting. It mandates vetted algorithms and modes, such as RSA or ECDSA with AES in CBC or GCM, plus SH2 or SH3, no experimental crypto. It also requires self-tests at startup and on demand, so broken or corrupted implementations are caught automatically. On top of that, its security levels add physical and logical guarantees, from basic software crypto to tamper-evident hardware with role-based control, up to tamper-responsive devices with strong identity-based authentication. FIPS 140 doesn't just care that you use an HSM, it cares who can do what with it. Organizational roles like identity registration, security administration, auditors, and applications must be mapped to specific technical roles on the HSM and PKI side. The central principle is separation of duties. The person issuing certificates shouldn't be the same person administering HSM partitions, and neither should be the auditor or application owner. For powerful roles like crypto officer, FIPS expects strong, often multi-person authentication, so no single insider can quietly gain control of critical keys. Here's how high-level legal requirements get pushed all the way down into a single cryptographic operation. eIDAS begins with outcomes. The signer must be in control, and signatures must be non-repudiable. PKI translates that into identity proofing and certificate rules that bind a real person to a specific key. The HSM enforces that the private key never leaves secure, isolated storage. Finally, FIPS 140 role-based access control ensures that only an authenticated user role can trigger the sign command. Together, policy, PKI, HSM, and FIPS form one continuous control chain. Now look at the whole signing pipeline as an evidence engine. Every critical step must leave a tamper-evident breadcrumb trail. When a user authenticates, you record who, what, when, and how. When the CA or RA validates, You record which checks passed or failed. When the HSM is invoked, you log which key, which operation, and the outcome. When the signature is produced, you link it back to all those earlier events. Storing these logs on warm or equivalent immutable storage turns normal operations into audit-ready evidence. A compliant log entry is essentially structured evidence. First, it must clearly answer who did what, when, and how. That means binding the subject identity to a strong authentication method and to the specific signing operation, which is what eIDAS focuses on. Next, you show the operation ran in a controlled, validated environment. So you record the crypto officer identity, the approved algorithm and mode, and the HSM self-test status, which speaks to FIPS 140. Finally, you protect the log itself with a time-stamped hash or signature, so any tampering becomes detectable. Think of your audit dossier as a single story told from three angles: governance, technical, and operational. Governance is your intent, CP and CPS documents, security policies, and risk decisions. Technical is your design, HSM baselines, data flows, algorithm lists, and PKI structure. Operational is your evidence, change tickets, access reviews, and signed key ceremony records. The mapping between them must be explicit. Every requirement should trace to a control, a configuration, and a log entry. Design all of this for least privilege, separation of duties, and irrefutable technical evidence. As you move toward a real deployment, keep this blueprint in view. First, QES signing keys must exist only inside non-exportable, FIPS-validated, QSCD-compliant HSMs. Second, identity proofing has to be auditable and match the required eIDAS level of assurance. Third, HSMs must be locked to FIPS-approved algorithms with strong role-based access control. Finally, treat logs, policies, and PKI artifacts as long-term legal evidence, not just operational byproducts.